Okay, great. It's going. All right. So loves, this is Aya from Maui, coming at you from the jungle and from the waterfalls and from the ocean. And today I just wanted to jump online and share a little bit about DeArmoring. I have a workshop coming up on the 19th called Deep Healing, DeArmoring your Yoni and your sex. And I've been getting a lot of questions about what that means. So I wanted to just jump on live and transmit it to you guys with my voice. It's so much easier than writing it all down sometimes. So when I think about DeArmoring, like really simply put, it's just a matter of bringing life and movement and flow back to any places that feel stuck or that feel blocked, right? So I really think about armor as any places inside of your body, inside of your being, inside of your person, where energy doesn't get to move. So armor can be collected over a lifetime of experiencing trauma. It can come from negative thought patterns. It can come from deep emotional states of wounding. And so sometimes when these things happen to us, it's like instead of feeling, sometimes it feels all too much. And so rather than feeling all the emotions, we just shut down and we go numb. And so we develop all these spaces of armor where we're protecting ourselves, right? And it's almost like out of sight, out of mind. Like I don't have to deal with that thought because I've shoved it so deep inside of me. But my personal experience is that those things that we shove into the subconscious, they actually have so much more power over us than the things that we're willing to take a look at and come face to face with. Yeah? And so particularly, like, you can think about someone who maybe has a lot of rage, but they just shove it down deep into their subconscious. They might think that they've handled it, that it's like bottled up, it's okay. But really it's like coming out all sideways, right? In bitterness, resentment, maybe they're like hurtful with their words, or maybe every once in a while it bottles up so much that it explodes. And so there's this way where we try to ignore the things that we don't like about ourselves by shoving it down into the shadow or into our subconscious. But really what we're doing, if we're not willing to come face to face with those pieces, is that we're giving those spaces more power. We're giving those parts of us more control over us. And something that I want to mention now is that your armor isn't evil. So all the places where you've dissociated, where you've created numbness, it's not bad, actually, in and of itself. And in fact, at some point, it was probably protecting you, right? So for example, as a child, if you're abused by your family, there might have been a time and a space where all you could do is dissociate. Because things were so hard, all you could do is go numb. And that was actually protecting some part of your psyche from deep amounts of pain and deep amounts of unrest and uprooting, right? And similarly, for some women, even today, depending on what culture you're growing up with, it might be completely unsafe for you to express your sexual energy. It might be completely unsafe for you to be freely feeling your own eros, your own life force moving through you. In some countries, if you're really alive in your sexuality, that could mean death. It could mean not being able to marry. And in some countries, not being able to marry could mean no food, no home, no safety, right? And so in that experience, if you're living in that reality, then the safest thing for you to do might be to armor up your sexuality, to build a wall around it, to clamp it down so that you can keep your physical body safe. And so the beautiful thing about our armor is that at some point it was protecting us, at some point it was taking care of us. And what we get to do now, as when we want to integrate back those parts of us that are being covered up by armor, is not to be like, oh, this thing is terrible, I'm done with the part of me that's like been rejecting my sexuality, I'm just going to kick it out of my life. Instead being like, actually, thank you. At some point you kept me safe. At some point you kept me from feeling too much pain. At some point you kept my mind and my body as present as I possibly could be. But I don't need that anymore. Now I'm ready to allow my sexuality to flow free again. Now I'm ready to feel that part of myself that was wounded. Now I'm ready to experience life more fully. Yeah? And when it comes to our yoni for women, when it comes to our sexuality for those of anybody, we collect so much armor. We collect so many protections against our sexuality, right? Some of us have direct physical or sexual abuse. Some of us might also have stickiness or armor from times when we said yes to sex when we actually meant no. And so sometimes the abuse comes from internally, right? Where you're overriding your own consent. For some of us, we've been conditioned and taught to override our own desire or what we really want and always cater to the needs of others. Maybe your beloved, a partner, another man, another woman. And over time that builds up this protective layer that makes it so that we can no longer have direct access into what we really want, right? So it's another piece of armor. Societally, we've been taught that our sexuality is unsafe. Especially in a female body, there's a lot of slut shaming. And what I often talk about, it's almost like as a woman, when you look out into mainstream society, your option is virgin or whore. You can either be a total slut and out of control and your sexuality is unsafe and dangerous, or you can be like too buttoned up and looked at as a prude, right? We don't get a lot of healthy examples of sexuality out there in the world. We don't get taught this as a child, unfortunately. We don't get taught this as we're developing and blooming into adulthood. I wish that we did. And change is coming, right? So, because of this lack of teaching around what healthy sexuality is like, even for those of us that don't have severe or outright abuse in our histories, we all grow up with different places that are stuck, that are blocked. We've built up armor over the years to create more and more safety for ourselves. And in my opinion, what that does is we're muting ourselves, we're numbing ourselves down. So as we've collected all of this armor over our sexuality, over our yoni, sometimes it creates a numbness inside of the body so that you don't even feel anything inside when you're making love, when you're self-pleasuring. It creates a disconnect from yourself and your body. I grew up with a lot of this, right? I grew up with so much shame and fear around my sexuality that I had no sensation, no emotion connected to my yoni. It was almost like that whole part of my body was just completely separated from me for so long. What else this armoring can do is it can decrease our capacity to feel pleasure. If I can't feel something inside of my yoni, I'm definitely not going to be feeling what's good, right? It also separated me from being able to tell what I liked. It separated me from knowing what my desires were. So it limits my access to pleasure. It limits my access to knowing what I want, even to knowing my desire. This can also lead to a lack of libido. And one thing that I want to say about libido too is I feel like quite often when I'm doing sexual healing work, people tend to come and they think that the libido that they have is what they're born with, and that's what their physical body is capable of. And one thing that I want to say is that your libido is like a muscle, like any other part of you. You can have as much or as little as you want. And I am a living, embodied example of somebody who went from being so disconnected that I was never turned on to being like dripping wet and feeling everything, right? So your body and your relationship to your sexuality can shift. It can change. It can transform over time. It ebbs and flows like everything else in life, but you have the control to do with it what you wish. And you have the control to invite in more. Yeah? And in my opinion, when we're muting down our sexuality, when we allow all of this armor to build up inside of our bodies, inside of our beings, we're muting a part of ourselves. If our sexual energy is life force, if it's what allows you to create and live life to the fullest, then when we shut down our sexuality, we're not just missing out on great sex and great orgasms. That alone is good reason enough. But we're actually missing out on living the fullness of life. When I come alive to my sexuality, I feel more at home in my body. I feel more creative energy moving through me. I feel everything more. All of my emotions, not just the good ones, the bad ones too. The bad ones. As though that we could label them that way. But I feel everything more. I feel life moving through me more. And it's directly correlated, the level of confidence that I have, the level of success that I've had in my business, the amount of money that I get to earn, and just how comfortable I get to feel in my own skin, in my own self. So this is one of the reasons why I feel like it's so important to provide women spaces and practices to come home to their sexuality. And so in this DeArmoring ritual that's coming up, really all it is it's a gentle process of meeting the places inside of you that feel numb or stuck with your presence, with your love. And we're going to use breath, sound, and movement and gentle touch to facilitate reawakening different parts of our bodies, different parts of our yonis actually, that have been shut down, different parts of our sex that have been shut down. And it's not about going for like a catharsis. It's not about going for like some sort of big explosive release. It could be that. But really it's just about bringing attention, bringing love, bringing presence to these spaces, and then seeing how energy wants to move. So, in my opinion, almost all healing work is really just an invitation for life force to move through every single part of your body. And so DeArmoring is no different. All we're doing in this practice is inviting life back in, inviting movement back in. And then when there's life and movement, you'll find that the places where you used to be stuck, something else comes, something else gets to bloom. You might get to know a part of yourself better. You might find that pleasure wants to come in. You might find that sensation wants to come in. And life starts to just naturally live through you. So, let's see, I'm just going to check my notes. Yeah, and as we go into this DeArmoring process, we also get to shed blocks from the physical body, but we're also letting go of negative thought patterns. We're letting go of cultural, societal programming. We're letting go of wounds from our lineage. We're letting go of anything and everything that's blocking life from living. So I'm going to be hosting this online virtual ritual for those of you identifying as female. The ritual will be September 18th on Friday. It's just directly after our next new moon. New moon is such a beautiful time to shed and release and let go. So I really wanted to take advantage of that energy and to use it to magnify our own ritual. So the ritual is set for 3 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but if you can't make it live, there will be replays available. You'll have an online community where you can ask questions, get support, journey through this with other sisters. And then you'll also have the recording and an embodied practice of DeArmoring so that you can come back to this again and again and again. And this is something that I feel really passionate about, is bringing anybody, but for this ritual, female bodies, and the ability to heal themselves. So it's amazing if you can go to a sexual healer. It's amazing if you can do healing work with a partner. But it's so deeply empowering to have practices that you can use for yourself. You're not dependent on anyone else. You're not locked into anybody else. You get to create this healing for yourself whenever and wherever you need it. So if this is calling to you, if you feel like this could be work that you could benefit from, feel free to drop a heart below. If you have any sisters in your life that you think could benefit from a DeArmoring ritual, tag them in the comments. I'd love, love, love for them to come into connection with me. And I want to finish this out. Oh, one last thing to note. So the DeArmoring ritual on September 18th. Right now I'm running an early bird discount. So that means that it's only $44 for you to come. You'll have access to the ritual, to the replay, to the community, to all the support that you could want and need. And we'll have some sharing circles in there as well. prices go up on Friday, and you can do this ritual with just your fingers, with some sort of an egg. I recommend nephrite jade or obsidian only. More info on that later. Or you can use a dildo or a wand. You also have the option, if you register for the workshop with me, to buy an obsidian wand along with your workshop. That way you have something to practice with. Yeah. So I have the link in the comments below, or if you're watching via Instagram Live, I have a link via my profile so that you can check out all the details there. And as we journey on from this live, I want to lead you in just a brief practice to start to reconnect with your yoni and start to bring your awareness back to her. So go ahead and close your eyes and start to take nice deep breaths, and see if you can bring your breath all the way down to your yoni. And you can start to feel like you're breathing in and out of her, bringing in life, bringing in love, bringing flow and sipping it in, almost like you're breathing directly into your yoni. And as you continue to breathe in and out of her, just start to notice any sensations that come up. Notice any emotions that come up. Staying really present with her. I like to look at my yoni as a living temple. It's this mysterious portal into my own divinity, to my own powers as a creatress. And so taking a deep breath in, I want you to imagine as though there's this pearl ball of energy at the center of your yoni. And as you inhale, the light's going to expand through your whole sex. And then as you exhale, it's going to nourish you from the inside out. Inhale, feeling this pearl ball of energy at the center of your yoni expanding, radiating your love and light. And then as you exhale, feeling that delicious energy nurturing you, filling you up from the inside out. And keep going with every single breath, feeding this ball of light with your mana, with your life force, with your power. And with every single exhale, just surrendering to it, letting go. Feeling this energy nourish you from the inside out. And on the next inhale, breathe directly into your yoni, and then sound on the exhale, giving her a voice, giving her a sound. A few more times. Keeping this connection to your yoni, keeping this connection to your sex. And knowing that this amount of nourishment, this energy, this vibrancy, it's yours, it's yours, it's yours. You can slowly, slowly begin to open your eyes. And I want you to just take a moment and notice what you feel in the body. What does it feel like when you take a moment to connect to your sex? When you take a moment to tap into your sexual energy? And drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And see if you can bring this awareness and connection to your body with you throughout the rest of your day. So sending so much love to you from Maui. Again, the DeArmoring workshop is September 18th, 3 to 6. You can access all the registration details in the link below. I would so love to journey with you a little bit deeper. Okay, much love to you all. Aloha.